What's going on YouTube? My name's Eric Young. Welcome back to another exciting tutorial. Not sorry I've been gone, I've just been working a lot. Today we're just going to be doing a very basic how to animate inside of Element 3D. Just some very basic stuff like how to, move around a scene, do lighting, how to actually animate properly and not just use scaling or the animation engine, which should only be used for graphic designs. But yeah, I actually made this and I tried to record this tutorial 3 times, so this is the 4th time I'm recording this tutorial. So if you guys could please give a like, if you're new, subscribe, and if you're mad at that, you can go fork yourself, and let's get started. So we're just going to make a new composition, and something I just learned today, in the UK they do 25 and 50. In America we do 30 and 60, as you probably already know. If you want to do 60, that's fine. It's going to take twice as long to render, but then you can pop it back in at a 30 frame rate and then re-render it, and then that will slow it down to half motion. Same way you can do like 120 and then get I guess 4 times slower motion, but yeah, you get the idea. So we'll make a new composition, 30 frames per second. Make a new solid, Element 3D, effect. Make sure you click on the solid, effect, video Copilot, element, and then scene setup. And then once it loads here, actually just going to go ahead and create a plane, and we'll scale it out to about 1500, or not 15,000, 1500. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the star pack, which you can get on videocopilot.net for free, as well as the saber, orb, and one other free plugin. I'm not really sure. I need to go get them. So this is BB-8 with no rigging. If you load them in, it's just the model. So this is BB-8 rig. Most people don't really know how to use auxiliary channels. So these are already preset to auxiliary channel 1 on his head and channel 2 on his head, 1 on his body. My bad. And we'll get back to that later. First thing we're going to do is just find a texture that reflects nicely. I'm going to use Pro Shaders 2, Metal, and then I'm probably just going to do exactly what I did last time and use foil. And then down here, have the plane selected, click Reflections, this little square box right here, and you want to change the mode to Mirror Surface. Now you get BB-8's reflection. And then for BB-8, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to choose Spherical, since BB-8 is a sphere. Now he gets Spherical reflection. Alright, so now I'm just going to add some stuff into the background to give it some depth. That way we can add depth of field later. Okay, there we go. So I kind of already set this up before, so I knew what I was doing. So make sure you take the entire scene, except for BB-8, move it out of the group. Gotta make a new group folder first. Put the scene on group 2, and just shift click all these, drag them up into the new group folder, and we are ready to rock. Now, first thing you want to do is go ahead and create a group null on group 1, and call it BB-8, and we'll just do POS. And then we're going to need to make a new camera, 35mm standard, and then we're going to make a new null object, make it 3D, call it dolly, and then parent the camera to dolly. Now we can move around the scene with the dolly null. Now I usually don't animate with the dolly, or animate the camera with the dolly, but we're going to be using the dolly to animate camera and to animate BB-8. So go into Element, go ahead and change it to Preview. That way it will render faster. Rotate to the side. Let's zoom out here. And then we're going to hit P for position, keyframe, BB-8. We're going to start them about, and then we'll go forward 10 seconds. This is just going to be a simple, very simple animation of him rolling forward. Stop him about there. And then that will automatically make a keyframe. And then at the ending keyframe, we'll press F9 to smooth it out. And then the next thing we'll do is go into the auxiliary channel. For channel 1 was the body, I believe. So we'll look at rotation. Should be this bottom one here. No, that's left to right. It's this top one. So we'll go ahead and go back. We'll keyframe that top rotation. And you press U to bring up keyframes. And we'll skip to the end. And we'll just say about 8 rotations and see what that looks like. Okay, it's rolling backwards, so it needs to be -8. And you can also try draft if you want to get a better view or better idea, because now it's going to render it in 2D, so it's going to be much smoother when I play it back. So it looks like he's rolling too fast. So we're going to try negative. I think that's more accurate. Let's take a look at the preview. Yep, that looks good. And then we can go ahead and actually toggle the switches and turn on motion blur for Element 3D, and then turn on motion blur for the comp. and then that will add motion blur to him rolling. Alright, now we're just going to take the dolly, rotate it back, and like I said, I usually don't animate with the dolly, but because this is such an easy tutorial, it's so basic, press position, keyframe position, should just go down here and keyframe orientation. We're going to reset, or actually we'll just leave that, it's fine. And then we'll move to the very end. And that should follow him pretty well. Alright, looks good to me. And then we'll just go ahead and animate his head for funsies. So that's auxiliary channel 2, rotation. Maybe we'll have him like look this way, this head back a little. I'm just going to go ahead and keyframe all the rotations. And I'm actually going to take the dolly, go ahead and orbit a little, add some light variation. So about, we'll just do halfway. Maybe he moves his head up a little, looks straight at the camera, and by the end maybe he like tilts his head back and looks off to the side a little, just for some variation. Alright, next thing we're going to do is enable ambient occlusion. So go into the render setting, ambient occlusion on, just use SSAO, ray trace rarely ever works, and this looks good enough. And then just kind of mess around with the radius and the intensity and maybe the gamma until it looks right. And just try to add a little bit of shadow, not much. Alright, we'll go with that. And then we're going to enable shadows, shadow mapping, and then layer, new, light. Make sure cast shadows is turned on. Make sure it's turned on. And we'll do a parallel. Go ahead and drag that up top. And then we'll do another light. We'll make this one a spot. Make it light blue. Don't worry, we're going to move these later. And then we're going to add one more light. Make this one ambient, and it can really be any color you want. It's just a like ambient light to add a little bit of fill. And then make this one like 20%. And then press T on these to bring up the intensity. Scoot back to the end so we can actually see the light. So here's our spotlight. For now we'll just turn down the intensity on the parallel to like 50. And we'll turn up the spot to like 250 so we can see what we're working with here. So it needs to go back about that much. Alright, that looks good. Now we'll crank up the parallel. Maybe crank this down to like 200 if we turn off the ambient. Make it a little bit more blue maybe. Maybe shrink down the cone angle possibly. That looks good. And change the color of this because what's going on here, it's not looking right. Where's this parallel light at? There we go. Just gotta sling this parallel around. This is being fussy. Let's try 2 spotlights and see what that does. There we go. Now we're getting the cinematic effect. Yeah, I like that. Alright, now we're going to add a depth of field. So turn on depth of field, and the more the aperture, the more the blur, so we'll do like maybe 25, which is pretty high. And then go back into Element 3D, and have the output opened, and change it to focus. And then keyframe focus distance, put it on the subject. And then kind of like scrub through every second or so, see if you missed any spots, or could keep up. Yeah, it looks close enough to me. So now I'll change it back to composite. There we go. And maybe we'll crush the aperture a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Alright, and then we're actually going to go back into scene setup. And this part gets a little bit tricky because now you have to choose an environment that you like. So I'm going to look at what I have in backlight environment. I might match the scene. Maybe this will work. Whoa. Control Z to undo and then Control Shift Z to redo. Yeah, that won't really match. Let's try maybe this. It's like a blue-orange scene, so maybe this. Oh god, that's gonna be way too blue. That might be way too brown. That might be way too dark. That's way too green. And that's just right. Alright, I like it. Whatever. Good enough. And what else are we missing here? We're not really missing a whole lot. Make sure you turn it back to full render when you're done with your animation. And then, yeah, I think we're kind of done here. Maybe mess with the ambient lighting a little. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and add a adjustment layer with Magic Bullet. If you don't have it, you can get it. And I like to use Look. And there's presets you can choose from. You can really get some nice stuff to work with, like here in tone mapping. Might work with this one. I think this is what I started with last time, yeah. And maybe like add chromatic abrasion, exposure in case we need it, edge softness, and then we'll do anamorphic flares on another layer. So it kind of can kind of edit that out, Eric. You did not say that word. It can kind of mess up some time. That just adds a little bit of blur around the edge. And then chromatic abrasion, I like to just do -1, +1. And that adds some red blue on the side that everybody likes in movies crap nowadays. And then Colorista Pop looks like it's already pretty good. Let's just see what it's like without it. And then maybe the exposure might be too high. Be careful with this. Work at like 0.1. See what like negative 0.1 does. Negative 0.2. There we go. And I'm actually gonna go back into Element and literally just scooch that over an inch. I don't want any black spots in the back, so I'm actually gonna edit this a little. There we go. And that's pretty much it, guys. Add another adjustment layer. Not shape layer. Just some slight flares. Nothing too big. Because you see on this one, I got some really nice cinematic flares and crap. But I spent a lot of time on this, actually. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm probably going to render this one out. I don't even know if I'm going to render this. But, you know, thanks for watching this tutorial, guys. My name's Eric, and peace out.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any more future videos.